Hello, welcome back to us.
Hey,
A couple nerds trying to world build. How are you guys?
accurate,
We're
accurate.
talking chaos today. Utmost and absolute chaos. The
Mhm.
planet in our setting that is literally all about chaos, and that's pretty
Yeah,
much the goal today, is to try and quantify chaos.
and we'll see how we go with that, and we'll see how sidetracked we get along the way, and how chaotic this stream itself will be.
It's bound to be at least a little bit. But
Yeah,
yeah, this is a planet that
no,
hasn't been touched on, but we are already starting to see a few ramifications of what's happening in Thor on look, yeah, okay, backwards hat, chaos giving vibes, hiding a snake under the ear cup, you know.
Look, we're about giving
Hats
off chaos
indoors
vibes
because we
now.
don't give a fuck. But yeah, so as I was saying, we're starting to see ramifications of the current events in Thor starting to manifest on Quenthos, because we saw our first ever Gith. And
Yes,
the
you're
war
right.
between the Othid and the Gith is happening.
Mhm.
And we saw the first Giths starting to try and seek refuge on Quenthos. A race never seen before. We
Yeah,
actually saw recently a couple new races on Quenthos that haven't been seen before, like Orc, last week.
yeah,
And
a strange big green with green individual
weird devils.
tusks.
No, if you think
Yeah,
about it from that
very weird
perspective,
things.
that just looks like a tall tiefling, kind of. Like,
Yeah, cool. Yeah, basically a tall tiefling, but with like no horns and tusks instead.
well, no,
Basically,
tieflings can have tusks.
tieflings. Yeah, that's true. Actually, so just no horn tiefling.
Yeah, it's just a no-horn
But
green
a very
tiefling with
weird.
tusks.
Yeah, a very weird tiefling. Which I kind of like. Just looking at it that way, like is this some weird woad creature?
Or like a
Well, I
green
suppose
Goliath with tusks.
I was gonna say, or else it just looks like a green hobgoblin. Like, why is that hobgoblin just like tall and green? The fuck?
I suppose, yeah, it could. No, hobgoblins don't have tusks.
Don't they? I thought hobgoblins have tusks.
Do hobgoblins have tusks? I don't know.
I'm very confused. We're off to a good start here. So today, everyone, lock it in. Do hobgoblins have tusks? Yes or no? Some artwork I'm looking up shows them with tusks. Others do not. So it seems
The
to be quite a
majority
divided
of
opinion.
artwork I'm quickly looking up here do not show them with tusks.
Okay. I've seen enough though that it would be like maybe like a 50-50 tusk no tusk split.
I'm not. I don't. Are you on Pinterest or Google
So-
Images? Because
I just googled image it quickly.
what did you Google?
Quick
Hobgoblin
question.
art or hobgoblin tusks?
Hobgoblin
I like
art.
my Dragonborns with tails, even though they don't come with them naturally.
I like them with tails. Uh, look, I like them the way that Muhammad intended, with tails. But yeah, so actually, question to chat: do you like your hobgoblins with or without tusks? Lock in your votes now.
It's I think that's like speed record time for us getting distracted.
Absolutely, come on, damn it. Look, at least it's D&D off tangent though. At least it's D&D off tangent.
Off tangent, any percent speed run. Yeah, Tuskless
Ooh,
Hobgoblin.
okay.
I am also a fan of the Tuskless Hobgoblin. Nagel did not have tusks.
Yeah. No, come on. I think like little tusks sometimes.
No.
But
Nagel does not have tusks.
Yeah, Nagel's too good looking.
I don't think my Hobgoblins have ever had tusks. Even like Captain Marlowe did not have tusks.
Who was Captain Marlowe again?
Wait, you can't remember this pivotal NPC? Who
Yeah.
you were sure. Yeah, he does have one big tusk. Okay, you're not wrong. But no, can you not remember who Captain Marlowe is, Raph?
What campaign?
Wait, Marlowe or Marteau? I may be
What
actually
campaign?
getting this wrong. Current campaign. This Hobgoblin? Captain of the Guard. You suspected her to be...
Oh, fuck. Yeah, you're right. Hang on. Let me look this up. This is important world building business we're on here. We cannot go
Is
any
that
further
Marlowe or
until
Marlowe?
we find out.
There's two NPCs in Random One with a very similar sounding name. Because I like doing this to you guys. No, I'm completely wrong. Mevela.
Oh, Mevela. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mevela.
Who's Marlowe?
see,
Did I just leak an NPC name?
I think
One
you may have
second.
did. I think you may have just leaked an NPC.
No, Mardev was the Mardov was the Lawmaster.
Oh, right.
However, Mevela is a leaked name, but I'm not going to tell you where that's coming out.
Yeah, whose medal it is? Let us know.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm double checking. I'm 90% sure Mevela is actually a name of something coming up. Not Mevela, Marlowe. No, you know what it is? Hemlock Marlowe. That's Rainier's. So we have Marlowe, Mardov.
Oh, yes, that's it. Hemlock. Yep. We cracked it, guys. We cracked the code. Thank you for sticking by us. This has been a great stream. We'll see you next Monday.
God, I love the fact that I just have NPC pages just filling up. Just
endless NPCs. But to get us back on topic here,
chaos.
The shifting storms of chaos, Carthathor. Des, what is the shifting storms of chaos? How is it a planet? What is it a planet?
Well, it's not really a planet as it is much more a gas giant.
Okay.
So, as a plane of existence, it's like almost the utmost opposite of the one we went over last week, as it represents it's where chaos functions.
Yeah.
There is fleshy trees on one of the moons. Okay, I just like fleshy trees, but I also love it. Fleshy trees.
Yeah.
If your trees don't squelch, I don't want them.
Yeah. If your trees don't look like internal organs, I don't want them.
Call me John Snow, because I don't want it.
I don't want it. But yeah, this is very much like a primordial form of chaos. It's not like chaoticness in the sense of the shattered Zarkorved and demons and all that.
No, this is
it's much more of like a primordial, just fundamental base form of chaos in the universe.
So Cade put something in the chat that I instantly want to try and make into something. A whole new meaning to a heart tree. Literally, the tree is a heart.
That's kind of cool. Disgusting, but cool.
I'm just going to put down literally.
It's a heart tree, literally.
But as a plane of existence, it is like where, okay, it do be like that sometimes, but as like a thing, it's very much so like it creates a lot of things. Like it's not chaotic destruction; it's chaotic creation.
Okay,
that would probably be the difference. It's like just like the shifting storms of chaos, as the storms themselves shift, are constantly spitting out new things. So you get like your sloths, your illithids, your aberrations of like like the first tadpole, like illithid tadpole in our setting would have come from Carthathor. All these things, like almost like this unpredictable nature of things that just shouldn't work the way it does, comes via the gas giant.
So what is Carthathor in that sense? Like, is it just like a magical gas giant type of place, or is it more of like a sentient energies to it? Like,
I think it's not sentient. That's 100%. It's not like it doesn't think for itself. But in the same vein,
it's like a magical anomaly.
Exactly. It's a magical anomaly that does what it does without thought. There's no logic to this chaos, or like there's no rhyme or reason to this madness. It's very much so just like a sheer force mass of pure arcana that is constantly spitting out new things that can't be controlled.
Right. Okay. Which is, I imagine, its intended purpose is to give the universe like a sense of the chaoticness and spontaneity of creation.
Yeah, of 100%. Like, now, mind you, it creates a lot of bad stuff as well, but there's also
illithids.
And, it's my excuse and can't be tamed. Correct, Kate.
Fuck's sake. Okay, that's interesting. Like, I suppose, is there some sort of entities that are located on the planet itself, or are they all located on the moons, or is there anything like some sort of more incorporeal form creatures? I
think there is creatures that like wade through the gas giant.
Well, actually, this is a good point to mention. Actually, the on a more serious note, would a bard conjure creation be able to channel the power from this planet to aid in its creation? I would almost say that would be like a primordial force that creation bards would tap into with their creation stuff. And I'd say like some forms of conjuration magic in general tap into this. Anything that's used like arcane forms of creation would tap into what this planet produces, and the power that it brings out. So yeah, I would say so. I think that'd actually be kind of cool to have a creation bard that's like heavily leans towards Castathor.
Absolutely, I really like that concept. I think it fits in very well. That's the sort of theme that I want for the planet, is very much so. Like, chaos is not always like evil. Like, you know, we see this in like even the alignment charts of D&D. Like this planet covers the full spectrum of chaos, from good to neutral to evil, and every other small bit of alignment that would fall in there. And it's like, you know, you've got creatures that, like, yeah, admittedly, like the Illithids are innately an evil, and like Slods are an innately evil type of creature that are out there to try and like cause a bit of havoc and such. And then you have like the inverse of that, where you have like some creatures like the Gith, and I believe we want to I want to maybe work on a race for the Carsthair. I have a few notes, I believe, in that would be cool to work on, although it is lower on the priority rungs. But I do have ideas. The problem is it falls very, very similar into the concept of the Iverillians that I want to do, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Unless you do something relating to the moons, but then the moons already have pre-populated species on there.
But the moons are kind of wild. They do just blink in and out of existence.
Yes. I was going to say as well, like, that's something that will take up a lot of time with Castathor, probably more than any of the other planets we touched on, is the moons themselves play probably more of a role for characters and stuff than probably the planet itself.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think the planet, like, because, again, like, there would be some, like, incorporeal, like, ethereal forms that would call Castathor home, but, like Illithids and stuff, they can't set foot on it, even the Gith and all. Like, they would traverse the moons around it. Now, you could try and sail your ship through the gas giant if you're really crazy, but it's
Well, yeah, actually, a good point to call back to our Century Great Worm stream, where the I can't remember which one it was, the Garnet Great Worm that was sent to Castathor was actually trapped. It found its form trapped within the shifting storms of chaos, and was essentially torn apart by the raw magical force emitting from the planet, and just its skeleton remains there, or rather part of the skeleton remains there, of the Century Great Worm.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Spelljammers, it's probably very much a Spelljammer thing.
Yeah, it would suit very well
for jamming the spells.
Very well for jamming some spells. But yeah, no, that was the thing. Like with the Garnet Great Worm, it literally got caught in a shifting of a change and was torn apart. Like the body was taken and salvaged. Like, its body is literally an Illithid ship now. Like, yes, the Unspoken One is a Nautilus ship, like an Illithid ship that traverses like the cosmology, like,
which is terrifying. Imagine seeing this Illithid ship coming towards you. There's just a fucking skeleton on one of the largest dragons to exist. It's just pretty horrifying. Yeah,
one of the 9 strongest beings in existence, bar gods.
Yeah, okay.
It is low-key fucking terrifying. You're not wrong.
It is high-key fucking terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very, very important thing to like say. It's dangerous. Like, what if you fought it though? What if you fought it?
That would be a fun campaign. Trying to
you know what? Wild.
Stop.
I was talking to Jen a little bit after the last stream, and we were talking about like scope of Kingslayers and such, and like what really entails the current campaign, but like room to expand on what could be done. And it's like, when you think about like what is within Kingslayer's ring, it's like Samael is the Kingslayer story. But imagine a world where we continue past Samael, we raise the dying god, we defeat the Empire of Ghouls, we track down Solelio's tome, we go and we dethrone a regent of hell and kill it. It's like,
yeah. Think of the potential there. That would be.
It would be such a long campaign. It'd be like multi-year.
It would be such a long campaign, but I'm not going to lie. It sounds actually kind of fucking cool. It is epic, and I think part of me has always wanted to be involved in some epic multi-year long D&D campaign.
Oh god, yeah. But I think because Jen was reasonably so. I'm going to get a little distracted here because it's just a good tangent to go off on. Jen, after like mild spoilers for last Monday, Jen's patron kind of last chance changed to the Lord of Disintegration, and she was like, Zamani wants to kill this being, and we were talking a little bit after, like, as a player, like, how do I work towards these goals? And I was like, well, the only way to even hope to kill a regent is step one, it has to be on Osiris. Kill them anywhere else, they're just going back to Osiris.
I don't want to into Osiris again. Oh god.
No, but the other thing is, you can't kill a seated regent without declaring war on all the regents. So the step one is you have to dethrone the regent, who I will point out that the Lord of Disintegration is, and I will say this with almost an utmost confidence, in my notes, and I believe, has been the only Infernal to ever hold that name.
Ooh. Okay. Fuck. So there's been no other Lord of Disintegration.
There has been no other Lord of Disintegration. There has never been another Lord of Unalvix.
Is that the only regent where there's been just one?
Well, there used to be the Lord of the Thicket used to be the only one, and then
that's true. And has there been multiple Ashen Lords prior to the Ashen Lord turning into the Lord of the Thicket?
Yeah, I think if I was to look back at the history, I think there is like I think he was like the third or fourth Ashen Lord.
Okay.
Because like the story of the original Ashen Lord was like he descended to the Lord of the Thicket, but his was like a story of climbing power. Other than that, there's like, I believe it was only those two specifically. I'd have to double check notes, but I can say with about 90% confidence, it was only the Lord of Disintegration and the Lord of the Thicket.
That's pretty fucking terrifying.
It is like, as Kate said in the chat there, it is a flex. Like,
yeah, that is extremely.
No one is quite cracked at Fortnite enough to go and attack the Lord of Disintegration.
Yeah.
He's not exactly a chill regent.
No, that's the thing, is that he's the most just absolutely cracked and mad.
He's the most unpredictable.
Yes.
Also, it is shy near impossible to wage a land war in Unalvix because the wind tears flesh from bone. So you march your devils there. It's the most, if not one of, but maybe the Lord of Thicket would have a better chance, but I would say it's top 50% of, like, no, I'd even say maybe of all the regions, it is the one that's non-moon, the only non-moon one that I would say is the most impenetrable.
Okay.
But Kate says we gotta get the doors from. Like, that is Unalvix's societies and stuff. Like, those cities are underground because they can't. Nothing can be topside. So it's like, even like it's pandemonium down there. That's where it gets its name. Like, the pathways make no sense. Like, you get it's a labyrinth.
Can we rename this stream to Two Nerds Try and World Build the Osiris again? Because this is what it's going to end to. Yeah,
no, I think it's like talking about chaos. Are you serious? Shut the fuck up, Raph. Shut the fuck up. I swear to God. But no, let's touch back. I just want to go on that tangent because I thought talking about the actual,
that's really interesting, actually.
Like talking about the campaign as a whole.
Oh yeah, but also once you start acting at that level in terms of that power level and that level in the cosmology of the universe, like you'll get involved in things far beyond our like what we have planned. Like there is so much more that will start to be brought to your attention.
God, I could only imagine what would happen if you guys turned around to me and said, "Yo, I want to go."
But also, like, imagine if we fail in one of these tasks but survive. Like the situations that will then emerge, the consequences of that. It's like there's so much that could come up if we continued. But look, as it stands, Kingslayers will be continuing for quite a while.
Kingslayers will continue until the culmination of the Samael arc. To answer Cade, campaign as a whole, I don't know what Anna will be doing other than being a pain in that ass. But I 100% could see the Decaying Lord wanting Anna to be part of the task force that is helping dethrone the Lord of Disintegration as a regent because he's just too unpredictable, and the Lord of Decay trying to instate someone akin to how the Ashen Lord instated Arcarius as the Lord of the Tempest, to try and get someone that is like loyal to them, but someone who's more predictable to be a Lord of Disintegration.
Yeah, is money? Zamani
imagine Zamani as a regent. I don't think Zamani would.
No. Baron.
But imagine Lady of Despair becomes the frickin'.
Ooh.
The Lady of Despair. Or instate Bran as the Lord of Disintegration.
Or instate Bran. Or. Yeah, actually, you know what? That's actually
cool.
I was going to say
the Lady of Despair. That's what I was saying.
Lady of Despair. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fucking cool.
Yeah, there is people that would gladly take the throne, if not for want of that title, but out of spite to the Lord of Disintegration.
Yeah, like I do not want him in control. I am making sure he fucking leaves.
But I vote for Bran. Hello, Daria.
Thank you, Daria.
Good to see you. We're talking about how. Daria, to catch you up, we're trying to build a realm, but we got sidetracked talking about how Kingslayers could go further, and I can delay your Artificer even longer. And the concept would be if Zamani wanted to try and kill the Lord of Disintegration, step one is by dethroning him as a regent. So we're talking how that could play out and what that would mean for like campaign length and all. It would be very interesting, though. It'd be it'd be very interesting. Yeah, because both. You're right, Daria. You're right. At least you'd be playing 20th level characters at that level, like, because I don't think you can even hope to dethrone. Like that's like 20th level epic boons, legendary artifacts. Although I'll be curious if you're still working with the Lord of Decay at level 20.
Well, that's actually one of the things I'm really curious about Zamani at the end of this. If she will still have a pact with a devil in the first place.
It's at 20th level characters, and I still don't know how our characters work. I think you'd know how they work less because you'd have more abilities.
Yeah, it would be even more chaotic.
And that's how this relates to the chaotic realm.
Yes, speaking of the shifting of souls of chaos, let's discuss it. Let's get back to it. So, yeah, this is a gas giant. So you were mentioning a very, very good point. We have 3 moons to touch on. Moons that just blink in and out of existence. Yes, they constantly just change, like boom, 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 which is why on one of the first moons is why the Gith chose it as their hideout in their first initial escape from Illithid control, is because essentially it disappears constantly, so they can't find them
there. But conversely, what the Illithids did after that is the Mind Flayers took a neighboring moon to try and round them up. It's like, if it works for you, it works for us. Moons are blinking, you'll miss them. But they do blink 182 times per year, minimum.
Precise. Write that down.
Precisely. Write that down.
Yeah, okay. I can't remember. We don't have it there. What is the third moon again?
We do have a third moon, but I was loath to include it because It is the biggest fucking tangent if I include it on this document.
Is this one here the like the egg?
Yeah.
Oh god, that is a
it's
tangent.
such a tangent.
Yes, we have already been on tangents so far.
I know, we're 30 minutes deep and we're only tangents.
Yes, 30 minutes in, we will build more for Cirrus than we have for this planet, okay? We will build more for a previous fucking thing than we have for this.
I know, but this just becomes 100% a history show. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just look. The last one will be wait, no worries. There we go, the egg.
But no, so let's talk moon one. So it is a Gith planet. There is one common denominator between the moons of Karsathor that makes them all similar. Is the trees are fleshy. I love to see it. Love to fucking see it.
Also,
but the Gith planet is
probably
yeah, it is actually. It's that's why they're so like so icky. To quote Jen.
All the body horror, just icky, all the body horror you could want, kid. Yeah, I got you, kid. I got you.
Second.
Yeah. So very. What are you doing, this?
Just making Cade mauled.
We've got to have Cade leave the stream. But yeah, so I actually are both the planets, the moons, quite similar then, in regards to like what they look like, or is the only common factor between them? Because I always thought that like there was the moon with the fleshy parts on it, which is the Illithid one, and then there was the Gith moon.
I don't think Cade's appreciating what I did to the egg. Yeah, what came first, the scuff spelling or Cade's suicide? Nobody knows.
Suicide all of a sudden. Oh god, give the next session a real dark turn.
No, but I think the two moons that Karsathor has are very, very similar. I do think that they both have like the flesh-like trees and like the body horror planet, because I think that's the common denominator of Karsathor. It's like the foliage around it is like that. But I do think that the Gith planet is far much more dense. No, Kate. No. I hate it. Take it back. That flesh like you fucker.
Oh no, Cade, no, the image that got in my head is terrible. I don't want to think about that.
Those are the worst.
Cade, how could you? Is this because of the lowercase t?
See, the thing is, it's oh my god, okay, just throw me off. I have to group chat to design for stuff like this. This is just the trees in Karsathor. If you know, you know.
No.
Drone Kick King says flesh trees made me imagine Warhammer 40k stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's very much.
Warhammer 40k, I think, is a great inspiration to draw sort of like inspiration for this sort of stuff from. But how much do you know about Warhammer 40k, Raf? You ever been a big fan of it? Quite a lot.
Yes.
Oh, were you a Warhammer kid?
I was.
Here's the important thing. Which faction did you play though?
Multiple.
No. Everyone has a main faction.
In terms of actually...
you didn't have the money to play multiple factions, be honest.
I did later in life.
Wait, do you still play Warhammer 40k?
Sometimes, yeah.
How do I not know this about you?
I don't know. It's like the one nerd token I haven't collected is playing like part of any card type of game. I've never really ever done that. I've never had an interest in doing it.
You're still not answering my question.
Okay. Look, my longest spanning faction army that I've collected has been Imperial Guard the whole time. And which is
do you have minis just like Warhammer mini? Like, what's your biggest? Show me your biggest Warhammer mini. Why do I not know this about you? This is something I feel like I should know.
Do you want me to get it?
Get me your big, your big, like your pride and joy. Okay. So while Raph Pussyfoot's answering a question, I didn't play Warhammer 40k that much as a kid. I played it a little bit, but I did not have the money to collect it. I am googling. If I'm remembering correctly, I started out playing Orc a little bit, only a little bit, because I was just using someone else's set. Then I got mad into wanting to play the Eldar, but didn't have the money to collect them myself. So I got my brother's Necrons when he decided to do Space Marines and moved on from Necrons. So I started playing Necrons. That's what I did. Although I always wanted to play the Eldar. Now it's making me want to go back and start buying Eldar because, god damn, those minis look cool. I wonder is Raph going to come out here with like full Tupperware. Never played 40k, but owns Sister of Battle minis. What's that? What is Sister of Battle minis? I'm not familiar with that.
I love how fucking absolutely derailed this is getting.
No.
Anyway, here's my Baneblade. In the middle of being painted, almost there. But
how have you never told me you paint minis for Warhammer? I feel like this is something I should know.
It probably is. I don't know. It's never come up, and I don't know.
You stepped away from stream there, up. I was saying to chat there that I started out by playing Orc when it was one of my friends' spare faction. I only ever played like once or twice. And then I wanted to play Eldar because I'm a weeb, but then my brother, I as a kid, I couldn't afford fucking Warhammer minis. So my brother used to play Necrons, and then he moved over to Space Marine, so I got the Necrons. I was like, hand me down. So that's the only faction that was ever like available that like no one that like had a consistent amount of troops, but didn't have like anyone to play them. So I was like, let's go.
Oh look, as a kid, it was like it was always a struggle. It was always a struggle to get them, and it was like very slowly built up over years. And then becoming an adult, it's like, hey, I've actually got money.
I just feel like this is something that like we've known each other like 4 years now, and you've never once mentioned Warhammer.
No, and it's kind of strange that you mentioned it. I don't know why.
What else are you hiding? I feel like I don't even know you now.
The dead body's under the house.
I know, Dahmer. Don't worry. Don't pan the camera to the drum in the corner of the room.
Yes, Cade, we can joke. JK on this.
JK. Fajuk says it's 40k Imperium faction. Raph, do you know what Sister of Battle minis are?
Yes, I do actually. They're really cool, but they're also expensive, as they all are. But given they're more modern, they are also quite expensive.
I'll Google them quickly.
I will say though,
is this the sim faction? Is this just a sim faction? Be honest with me. No,
absolutely not. They're really fucking cool, but painting them is a bitch because they're fucking detailed as hell. For myself, I'm a Crimson Fist. Actually, yeah, Crimson Fist probably number one for me.
I couldn't even teach myself. I do not. I think the last time I played Warhammer, I was 9. That's like
yeah, it would be strange. It would be hard to teach someone online how to actually play it. That would be very like without actually like physical props to do it. I don't know how I could do it.
I just need the book. I remember I had like a Necron book. That's the one thing I did buy.
Yeah, look, it's difficult now. There's so many. There's a lot of.
Also, I also just know fucking Games Workshop is just fucking awful.
Oh yeah. Which is why a majority of my minis I bought, which is just a shout out, if anyone does want to get started, buy them off people, secondhand, from people. There's lots of like groups on Facebook or various other social media things that like secondhand miniatures. Buy it off that. It's much cheaper, much more affordable. It's still expensive, but buying it firsthand, much more. Yeah, anything like reselling like that, best way of going about it.
Drone Kick King says
God,
orcs are literally the power of belief combined with pure D&D barbarian rage. That fits for Kate, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, and Tyranids is body horror, so yeah, that is also very Cade.
Yeah. God, this is like bringing back like triggering memories of me as like a 9-year-old playing fucking Warhammer, not really understanding shit and getting very frustrated when I'd lose.
Yeah. Look, always the first few games I played when I was like a kid, was never really understanding the rules, but just like, cool, I'm losing every game. I don't know how to fucking play. I don't understand this shit. I'm having fun though, but I don't understand what's going on.
Look, this is chaos. If the one stream where we didn't get sidetracked was about the planet of chaos, it would just be completely like injustice. So,
what we've been trying to demonstrate here is a representation of the shifting storms of chaos. Just to accurately represent it to everyone. Oh, for fuck's sake, that was so sidetracked. Oh, this freaking stream.
Kate, that's the thing. Nothing's ever planned.
Kate, do you actually think we plan for any of these streams? Do you think we ever have a script?
It's actually on me and Raph prompts behind the screens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, actually, we've got a prompt just there in the background.
Yeah, it's just telling us what to go.
There's just like static. There's just static. That's all there is on there. But to get back to it, Des, to get back to world building, we're discussing the moons. And before anything else can come in, 3 prompts, world building. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Joke's on you, only one of them's blank.
We're
a Worlbuild channel of a Wednesday, would you believe?
Never. Us Worlbuild? Me never. But yeah, so in terms of the moons, I always imagined the Gith one to be a lot more, I want to say livable. Like it's much more of a actual, or rather the Gith have made it very livable.
I love the imagining to life. What I like to think is that the moon that the Gith was on was actually was like fleshy trees and stuff. But the one thing that I really love the concept of is that the Gith are extremely, like, both psionically and magically gifted, and almost like these plane hoppers themselves. And I would love to love the concept. I want to make canon for this is it was like the fleshy trees of the Illithid one, but as the moon blinked in and out of existence, obviously the Gith had to go somewhere when that happened. So they used that teleporting style magic to send themselves to the other realms, and they've taken and basically like made a menagerie and terraformed their own moon to try and make it like a hodgepodge of every planet.
Yeah, like terraform different sections of it. I really like that. That's actually a fucking cool idea. Because at this stage, like, it is quite a prosperous in terms of the amount of Gith living there. It's not just like small hideouts. It's like quite a big, Gith civilization. Just reading the chat there. Drone Kick King says, I'm actually building my own D&D world, but apparently I kind of goofed since I started with the big world aspects first before working on the small things like town details. Look, both Des and I tend to work from big details first. We both start very big with world building.
Well, I suppose, did you pick your theme before you start? Is the massive thing that even we did, like, as a group, we pick theme as like a.
Like you pick the theme and sort of the imagery you want for the world, what it is you're trying to create, what type of emotions you want to capture that are going on in the world, and then try and incorporate that into the big stuff that's you're currently building. But I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong. I think actually starting with big details can really be helpful, and it can shape, like even something like you start from the perspective of gods, for example, like
That's
that
what
can
I do.
really help you influence like how you build your towns. Like if gods play a major role, like then how are towns shaped? Are they shaped around sort of like cathedrals and churches, or is it much more of a separate from that? Like it can be very helpful, and you can easily do it.
Me and Raph are unfortunately sworn to secrecy on this, so we can't really talk about it recently, but we had a big conversation to basically sit down and try and work on something. It came up in conversation, where does each of us start? When we're building a setting, where do we start from? And me and Raph both have extremely different approaches, which is surprising because we're very alike in most other ways of how we world build. That's why we do this together. So where I start from is I always start with 2 steps. I start with the gods, and then I start with the creation. Then I go to the creation myth. Like where do people believe things come from? Because I think that shapes an awful lot of like culture around things. And then what Raft said to me is he normally picks a fixed point in time and starts like a history of that thing, like key events, and like go out from there, like a kind of like a web.
I work on building a history, which is like it's how I start. I try and build like a rough history of the world as best as I can, which is like both starting from very big level details, but in both very different directions.
Yeah, which I will say though, the way we work on it, like it. I'm not saying why or how.
I'm not saying anything.
It works very well together.
If Des and I were to world build something together from scratch, it would work really well together.
Yeah, it would. It certainly would.
But Kate says, I prefer to just wing it and write down and gaslight my players whenever I accidentally contradict myself. Yes, I can confirm by playing in some of Cade's games, I have helped world build his world entirely just by playing characters.
That is such a classic D&D way of doing it, though. It's just like, because it kind of like what you enjoy, like, because I would say 7 out of 10 times maybe world building your world as a DM, that's for you. Like your players are gonna constantly forget that, like these small intricacies, like, oh my god, I wrote a contradiction here. It's like they're not gonna remember. It's like, you're gonna mention a backstory from their, like a town from their own backstory, and they're gonna be like, what did you just say to me?
Just blank faced.
So 5 deities currently in my world.
You go, Des.
5 deities currently in my world, 4 element ones and 1 goddess of light. Alright, so what evil deities do you have, or what faces off against those deities then?
Yeah, and also, what are those deities? Like, are they actually evil? Are some of them more nefarious than others? Yeah, tell us about them.
Yeah, look, sometimes it's more fun to do a vague history and just go with it. Like, as Kate says, on a serious note, I got like cities, towns in the world with basic history and gods, and then just work with it. That's also like a perfectly like fine way of doing it. It's like it can be exhausting overdoing it. Then new chat. Our GM has multiple games going in our world, so it's all building itself. And to build our core town, he played a quiet year with some people to flesh out details about the important town history, so decades in the past. That's kind of similar to actually what we're doing over here with Quenthos. So our world is split into 2 parts, Darapadin and Quenthos, and we played for years in Darapadin, and then rather than me give them a history of Quenthos when the 2 halves of the world met, and we're going back actually through the history and playing through pivotal moments in history of Quenthos up until the point where the 2 halves of the worlds meet. That's the fun of it, is like letting your group be influential in the history of the world. I think is a lot of fun. Like a lot of fun.
I think that is a major part of it. And as a player, I love that. But that's also just me as a person as well. I love that whole side.
You are also just a lore goblin, like 100%.
I am also a lore goblin because that is just me. With like, I am a history goblin. I am a lore goblin. I am a goblin.
Apparently, you're a Warhammer goblin, but I didn't know this.
I'm a Warhammer goblin. I am the betrayal in Dez's voice. I don't even know this man.
I'm looking like you took everything from me, and I'm like, I don't even know who he is. The fire god is a twin-headed dragon, one head gold and one head red. They each have a personality, but still consider themselves one being. The gold represents the aspect of fire that keeps you warm in the cold, light the darkness, etc., and the red represents aggressive wild nature and destructive fire. Ooh.
That's kind of cool. I like that. I like that.
Welcome to the 10,000 word backstory club, Raph.
Yeah.
He's already there.
Thank you. Thank you for sitting me in. Is there anything like I need to know about this group, or is it just like once you're ready, do as you want, keep them going?
Des, I don't know why you're surprised.
Once.
Y'all the same person. Of course, y'all like the same things.
Yeah.
You can't confirm or deny that because you've also never seen me and Raph in the same room at the same time, have you?
Big brain. Big brain.
Big brain.
We got you, Raph. Big brain.
And then Fajouk says, ah.
Yeah, actually, it's Fajouk just saying AI. Fajouk is revealing that they are in fact an AI.
It's a fancy scream.
Ah. I mentioned so the full head back as well. Just,
yeah.
Fuck.
That's so stupid.
It's the dumbest thing.
So, conversely to the gate, the Illithid did not do that with the because we're getting right back into
Getting
it.
straight back into it. Actually, just to go back to what Jordan said there in chat, saying that I'm picturing a mood that looks kind of like a patchwork puzzle. Yeah, almost. I imagine.
Yeah, that's 100% what the Git's moon look like. It's got a lot of different like topographies that wouldn't normally be found meshing together, and it also has bred a fair few species of rare plants that are culminations of flowers that would only grow in the Feywild, meeting with infernal plants that only grow in the jungle moons of.
That's a really cool idea. I kind of like that. Yeah,
wait, are we getting back on topic? Shit, quick, someone make a new topic to distract them. Don't you tempt me, I'll do it.
Cade, please.
So has anyone watched the new Champions Q games that Riot put out?
So what do people choose for their pick'ems? I'm kind of curious.
What's your pick'ems? Who's winning a world? Let's
what's
go.
Your pick'ems? Worlds is almost here.
World starts tonight.
Yeah, Worlds. No, it does. It starts tonight. It is very almost here.
And I can't watch any of the games because
I was going to say, sadly, they're all fucking NA times, so both Des and I are fucked.
Yeah, fucking wildcard region gets to host. It's fucked.
Yeah, I know. Fucking near airport gets to host.
I thought this was the world finals of Neopets being held in fucking NA or some shit, but apparently it's League. What the fuck? Drown Kick King says, but the funny thing is, people who follow the Fire God, which is mainly Dragonborn and Lizardfolk, are the Fire Kingdom, are actually unaware that the two personalities are one being. The Dragonborn worships the gold aspect, while the Lizardfolk know the red aspect, which has resulted in a form of civil war. Since in my work, the two races are a divergent evolution line. That's really cool. I love different evolution lines and different like aspects of like culture and like progress in like genealogy and D&D.
I think it's fucking cool. And I think attributing it to a gold like that is a really cool way of incorporating all the different aspects.
Kate said, "Yo, I'm kind of hyped for Worlds this year, and I don't know why. You're a fan of Neopets."
It's because Cade, what's going to happen is that we're going to get a completion of the story. You know, T1 is going to win this year. Next to a year, we'll be in Korea, and it'll be T1 defending the titles. They win it again. Faker retires. Story complete. Close that chapter of League. Done. We're finished.
Yep. I've said this to Rapper like the past while. I am waiting to buy T1 merch. I'm like, I'll buy a T1 jacket. Yeah, Tyler won. He's part of the SKT like content house, like content group. So yeah,
Didn't he leave? I think he left. I don't know.
Did he get kicked? I feel like that's
But just quickly, Des, did you play Neopets growing up?
What do you mean, did I play Neopets?
Yeah, did you play Neopets?
I'm gonna have to Google it because I don't actually remember Neopets. 1 second.
Okay, because I was kind of curious.
Yeah, I probably did. Like very young. I think I did.
Yeah, yes, Kate, absolutely. It was free and it was online. Of course I did.
Oh.
I got hit with an ad break just now. Yeah. Shut the fuck up, kid. We are separate, okay? I swear.
But no,
so
Fujiko also said, I had a character thought at work. The Big Bopper songs Chantel Lace, Big Bopper's Wedding, and White Lightning think the character would be an armor-wearing, charismatic barbarian half-elf with int and whiz of 10 or lower. Preferably lower.
Preferably lower. That's kind of cool.
That's not bad. Not bad at all. Very interesting. I love how you got such a giggle out of the World Championship of Neopets, Raph. Thank you for that, though. Thank you for that.
That was beautiful. That was the most unexpected thing. Like, I was not expecting that.
Look, you got to dig deep for the references. Also, sorry you got hit with an ad, drone kick. Out of the 5 deities in my world, I'm struggling with one thing. I, for the life of me, can't seem to think of a physical form for the goddess of air.
Why does it need to have a strong physical form? It's goddess of air. Like, you can always have it take a very sort of incorporeal, like, mist type form. Unless you want to have all of your deities have more physical forms. I think it'd be quite fitting for a god or goddess of air to have.
Hear me out. God or goddess of air. Mm-hmm. Physical form, massive eagle. That way people can argue why it didn't carry the hobbits. Got him. We hit the Lord of the Rings fan.
Okay. Progress. Back to Worlbuild. Cast a Thor. Shifting Storms of Chaos. Let's go.
So anyway, with Worlds pick comes in. No, yeah. So I was trying to, before we talked about it. That is like the you showed Lord of the Rings is great. Rings of Power is not. But the Mind Flayer planet, they did the opposite of what the Illithid did. They didn't bother trying to terraform or make their planet more hospitable. Instead, rather than trying to co-inhabit it with the planet itself, it was not the planet, the moon. The Illithids tried with, as they gets them as well, to exert their will and force their ownership on it by cutting down the flesh-like trees and building these ships, so that they kind of have these arcs, these Illithid arcs that the Mind Flayers go onto. That they go to when the moon vanishes. They have these ancestral arcs that are made massive. I can't remember, it's been so long. Tali in Mass Effect Andromeda, you know her race?
Yes, the Quarian.
Yeah, the Quarian. Kind of similar to the Quarian, where they have these ships just full of Illithid.
Right.
And it's just they've got these massive arcs.
Okay, because I was going to ask you that actually. Where did Illithids and Gith originate from? Because obviously
they were beings made from
Karsa Thor. Right, and so did they just appear on the moons afterwards, or did they?
They did. They were made, and then the Illithids kind of. I think the first Illithids were tadpoles that affected Gith.
Okay, so to the question of which came first, the Gith or the Illithids, the question
the Gith. Does the Gith? The first Illithids were Gith turn, and then these Elder Brains formed, and the psionic charge of the Gith brains was so strong that it's just Karsa Thor made possibly the strongest psionically charged race, and then the perfect predator for it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, the answer is the Gith first, and then because unfortunately we'll never be able to publish anything like this because these, not Gith, but I believe Illithid is complete copyright termed. But this is we can talk history of our world and put this in here and talk about it in game, but never put it in a book.
Yeah, purple tentacle people, non-trademarked.
Exactly. But no, that is untrademarked. But they kind of they're one and the same, but two over. Billithid, but it's B is the red B emoji. I fucking love it, Kate. You're our copyright guy. Everything we get hit with copyright, we just put a red B in front of it. Sorted. But that's the...
Yeah.
I swear to God, we're trying so hard to... We're trying so hard to stay focused, but I can't do it, and you can't do it either.
Okay, Yumi top.
This is why I don't play ranked with you. You're locking in Yumi top. Speaking of which, I just failed my promos into silver. It's big sad. I tried to get 80 carry, and I had a Lux support get fucking super tilted up 1 kill and just went mid the entire game rather than help us.
Fuck.
And then second game, I had a Lulu who went 0-11. Kate, here's the beautiful thing. I was locked in Samira second pick, and she's last pick, and she locks in fucking Lux. It's like, with Samira, you lock in Lux. My god. Lux supports
Lux
SMH.
one trick?
No, it wasn't. It was just a bad Lux.
No, it wasn't? Oh, jeez. Yeah, I guess you could say it was bad Lux for you.
If it was a Lux one trick, she would have at least hit a binding.
Oof.
Look, Kate, you're not on at some
yes.
degenerate hours. I can't help it.
Yeah, just be more degenerate, Kate. Come on. So in terms of... Actually, I'm curious. So in terms of the Illithids, so they spend most of their time not on the moon. Like, it's traveling around in these ships, these arcs of theirs.
Yeah, so they would leave their arcs in orbit of the moon.
Right.
Because the problem is you can't predict the teleportations of the moons. So that's I love that spelling mistake there, Drone. My world water deity is a giant crab. Which tends to start sleeping on the ocean floor. But due to gods being immortal and all, its naps tend to be centuries long and unknown to modern day citizens of the water nation. To the of the Tritons, their large undersea capital is actually built on the back of the deity shell. I love that. I love kaiju.
That's fucking cool.
Just 100% love kaiju.
That's fucking cool.
Oh no, we got a floater. What a meme. Thank you for the content.
Okay, that is the content that we needed.
But yeah, the Illithids, they orbit, because while the Gith, I say, can actually predict the teleportations. Like, they've learned to coexist with their moon, and now predict, and not like to 100% accuracy, but predict the teleportations, and that's when they send like the majority of the adult Gith population anyway to go and be almost like druidic and like get like stuff from other worlds and get this, and then when they feel the pull of the moon, it's kind of like they're anchored to it.
Okay, that's actually quite interesting.
But the part of the big reason why they can predict it now is because they have these things where they are terraforming the planet, and they are becoming one with the planet. The Gith in our setting are actually extremely druidic.
Yes,
bionic, but druidic in nature. But where do you get the squid? Where do they get the squid for the cephalot taxidermy? That's the questions, Nelderberg. So when the moon that they live on teleports in and out of existence, I was saying that they go to different planets to terraform their own. So when they get sent off to other worlds, they stock up on that cephalopod. 100%. Gotta do it.
Whatever the fucking
whatever
the variation of squid and cephalopods they have in that world, they'll get it.
Yeah. It's like, I'll take your entire stock. But Nate, thank you for jumping at a time when we are actually talking about what's happening and not getting distracted for the first hour of the stream. Very gamer.
Yeah.
But the Illithids, they orbit their own planet because they can't predict it. So they don't keep people down on the planet as much as they would like to build the ships, but they don't have interest in inhabiting their moon. They only have interest in the harvesting the trees and then raiding onto the Githmin to try and take back their slaves, which is a mixed bag. Hey boys, good luck with your world building and staying on topic. I gotta go to sleep. That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, SMHK. Imagine not staying up and helping us go off topic.
Imagine not staying up to do ranked with me after this stream ends.
Cringe.
Unreliable.
No, that's a good.
Stated.
Sleep okay. Yeah. So actually, at what point? Because quite at this moment, as you've said, like in Quenthos at least, Gith are very uncommon. I know in Durapidon around about the same time, Gith are more common. Like they're a known race.
Well, yeah, they are a known race. That's partly due to the. We'll catch up on chat. Nelderberry said, not staying for long, just stopping in to say I love your bloody faces, and we love yours. We love yours.
We love your beautiful face.
Though you're breathtaking. And the Gith Harvest Moon XD Drone Kick King, thank you for the funny. Big good.
But so like, is there a point? It like would
There
so Gith
is.
basically
It's just the Gith can't really control. They harness the teleportation magic to pick where to try and influence where they will teleport to get stuff from. However, with the Firewalker trying to bind existence to not have races make their way to that realm, it's extremely difficult. Like we saw it a little bit with Bran last session. Is he gets there and he's like, "What the fuck is this? Like this is like I don't get what a Quenthos is. Like where do you get it? Like how do I buy it?" So that's a big part is why Gith can't get there. Is the probability of a Gith landing in Quenthos is extremely low. Extremely low. Okay. Their druids do their utmost best to try and, like, the first thing the druids will do is they'll try and do some form of teleportation to get the younglings to a safe realm, which is why we get so many in Durapadin, is because it is safe. You know, they're predominantly like non-warring race on Durapadin. They don't really hold any country like main seat. They just like they kind of vibe. Whereas the warriors of the Gith just make their way, you know, out into the thing, and like if they land on Ivarillion, they're like, well, I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, but I'm gonna try and stay here as long as I can, fighting these beings made of negative energy to try and like it's not, it's a non-zero number. It's a very, very dangerous one. They would probably not try and land on Mix Magar too much as a scouting planet, a scouting thing, because there's very little flora in Mix Magar. Now, finding them in like the Giscara or like such would be a little bit easier. And to fight the negative energy being, they will need the power of good vibes. 100%. That is how you beat Ivarillion. That's a planet we've done before. Drone Kick. One of our planets in setting is the plane of negative energy, and it's one of the planets because our setting it's an orrery style. It's 9 planets, a solar system, and we got a negative energy planet because it's retail.
It's
retail. But if it landed, to answer your question there, Nate, because you're not staying for long, if it landed in Mix Magar, that sounds like a fresh soul ripe for the taking.
Yes.
You know, it hasn't secured a spot of everlasting life due to arts, so he didn't land there by a scouting expedition. He was kind of made a dealio.
But I mentioned some of these wandering Gith as part of these expeditions and scouting missions. If they did land in like the material world, like Quenthos or Durapadin, would choose just to stay there because it's such a nice existence compared to anywhere else they could have ended up.
It's safer than the Elephant. Like it is safer. Also,
it's safer than where they came from.
We have a distinction here this entire time we've been talking. There is no Gith Yankee or Gith Zerai. There is just Gith in our set. There is not that distinction between the two.
Yes.
That is just Gith.
Not yet. Does that comes later down the line, because I remember in other campaigns where they have.
I don't know if that's going to be canon, because I kind of like the actual lore distinction of how they came to being, to like have it be the unified species. Maybe we'll have a distinction of like not like we'll have the like the Wanderers, and we'll have the like the anchors, so to speak, but we won't have Yankee versus Githzerai, because I want that distinction. Fun fact, in my setting, the Light Goddess has kind of lost it due to stupidly pickling. I love pickling up a gem. She shouldn't have after a past battle with an evil necromancer in the mortal world. Was the gem the funniest thing you've ever seen if it was a pickle? Did she turn herself into a pickle? That's such a dead meme.
Des. Well,
such a dead meme.
It fits in perfectly with this stream. I can't really do
it's where memes go to die, is Karsathor. 100%.
Yeah, I kind of like that though, because that's actually in terms of the Light Goddess. That reminds me of Celelio in our setting here, in terms of like previously a goddess connected to fire or light, becoming quite unbalanced due to actions taken.
Now, Ray says, Des, your orrery has a bunch of worlds that are unpleasant to be on. Is there a planet of love or smooth jazz? there's definitely places that have smooth jazz. You can probably find a bar for that in Mix Magar.
I mean, Robosa is a pretty chill
Robosa's
place.
pretty good. Same
Except it's almost
with a lot of the
treated.
Feywilds. The daytime sides of the Feywild would have a lot of peace and love and all that good stuff.
Yeah. You know, if you ignored like the backstabbing and everything else going on,
Yeah, but like that can be found
Trixie
anywhere.
Faye around the place, it's actually kind of nice.
But a lot of the material, like some of the material, no, there's very little just
Notaberry?
pleasant.
Yeah. You just leaked the next campaign, Notaberry. That's actually the party's goal, is to try and create their own world of just love and jazz.
It's got to be done eventually. It's got to be done. Depends on what the atmosphere is made of, perhaps indeed. Where can you go for just pleasantness?
No.
Well, if you were to believe the writing on the stalls in the Silken Script, you could find many places, but for pleasantness, there is no planet that is just one thing. No planet that is just one area. Like there's areas of Rebosa that would just be pleasantness for sure. There's areas of even just like of Osiris where it's just pleasant. Like, you know, the city of, like, we saw it a little bit in our Into Osiris games, like in Mix Magar, it's like once you have eternal life there, it's a very pleasant afterlife. It's not a it's not a bad place. I do have a moon that's all blood. That's on me. You're right.
Yeah, look,
look, I'll take that one. That one's on me.
We did perhaps go a bit too far in a few places.
No, it didn't go too far, but that one's on me. That one's on me.
Hey, look, the soul moon was my idea. I'll take credit for that one.
No. I'll give you that one.
But yeah, so in terms of, that's actually quite interesting in terms of two races there, which we actually haven't seen much in the setting at all, at this point at least, on stream.
On stream, no. Gith are very, very not used much at all in our game, and as I said, I will be changing some of the order. Oh, so
which is, I think.
Go ahead.
No.
I was just reading chat.
Ahead.
Now, it turns out the gem was effectively created by darkness and negativity of the void, which manifested and a consciousness and kind of just hates any and all life, and was using the necromancer as a conduit to destroy the world. When the goddess picked up the gem, it began to corrupt her and warp her mind over time, though it took a few decades for the corruption to take hold. That sounds like a good campaign.
And also, Notaberry, where's the moon of Camembert and Rosé? I wish there was one. Des, can we please make that? It would be so much better than anything else that currently exists.
Look, that is definitely, like, it's not a moon, but there is certain halls within the Feywild that would absolutely love Camembert and Rosé.
What am I talking about? All moons are made of cheese, so technically,
every moon is the moon of Camembert. It's all Camembert.
It's not the Rosé part, and technically, like, blood is like reddish or close enough.
You can't convince me that that's not the blood moon, Nate. I got you. No, there is like areas that are just like unequivocally like good, so to speak. Like the majority, like the vast majority of Rebosa would be good, considered good. Like that is 100% truth. It's like now there is areas like the Burning Moon that Solelio's on, but like that would be the vast minority. Whereas like you look at Osiris, where it's like the vast majority is evil, and like you've got these small little gems like Mix Magar where people can find eternal life. It's the opposite. Yeah. A lot of Rebosa would be where a lot of angels are just vibing, because that's where happy and like good emotions go to after you die. So there's that. And then if we want to get like really, really deep into it, there is like we talked a little bit in our Rebosa stream that there's all the pocket dimensions there of like and the infinite pocket dimensions of the old gods, and there's some like almost 50 odd old gods, and there is ones that would have halls of endless joy. So it just would depend who you worship. Like there is some out there, like I would really have to go like deep into lore that would never be relevant for stream, because a lot of those gods they kind of died.
Yeah.
Or well, their physical form died.
yeah, and are kind of out of the plot for now.
But there is areas that are just like unequivocally good. There would be like many dimensions within Rabosa that would just be bliss, like absolute and utter.
In terms of actually going back to the whole Gith Illithid thing, do you imagine them to play a larger role in the setting at some stage, or do you always want to keep them relatively on like to one side?
See, I'm of two minds. I would love to make Illithids a bigger part, but it's also just like as a villain, like they're very interesting, but like what to do with them? You're gonna bounce one shot on the play school moon, please. All right, you got it. Absolutely. I'm sure there's a play school in Mixmagar. Oh my god, it's fucking Toy Story, but it's all torture implements from Osiris.
God. The Lord of Disintegration.
Why is every one shot in Osiris one shot?
Because Osiris is the best plane. Changed my mind.
Raph, you might be able to picture this pretty well. My world's Earth's god. It has a somewhat personality of Rogel Dorn mixed with the Dwarven culture.
Dwarven culture. Oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. I like that. Rogel does have a bit of a Dwarven personality about him. Very much like that stern and dour type of attitude. So that would actually work kind of well. I like that.
I agree. I don't know what this is, but I agree. 100%. That sounds like something
actually,
I agree on.
A question I wanted to ask, while we're on the topic of different races in the setting and what have you, I was kind of curious actually. Kalashtar. Are they in the Quinthos side? And like, what's their origin side of things and the new lore and everything?
I actually don't know. I don't fully honest. I don't know what Kalashtar are going to be like, because I know back on Durapadon's side, but this is like pre-stream for people who are watching. This is like long ago, many years. We had just everything, because I was just anything that was in a book was playable. But when we went to Quinthos, I curated a smaller selection so we could go in more depth on the history of each. So I don't think I will include everything, and I'm not sure if Kalashtar fully makes the list.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like, you know, replace them with something else. I have ideas. Like, there is specifically, like, they are related to Zarthel. Like, they are meant to be related to the Dreamkin, in a sense.
Yes.
Like, it was kind of like a union between, like, we talked about a moon nymph who was very much so related to that realm. You know, moon nymph's binding made the first Kalashtar. It's like that, almost like they're dreamers, and so. But I just genuinely don't know. Like, I would maybe even make a new race for what Kalashtar are, like, you know, to fulfill that niche. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That is my answer. I'm not sure. Because their lore as it stands doesn't fit with the setting anymore, as the direction I've taken it. And a lot of Durapadon stuff, I was, you know, I'm some 6,000 hours deep between Roll20 and writing for at home myself, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, Durapadon was like, I want everything all in here, and like, when you have everything, it's fun. It's fun to have everything, but I prefer myself to have a smaller selection, but more history and lore for each selection. It's like got
a curated list, but more depth. Yeah, I like that. I was just curious as well, because I don't know why I tend to see them a bit more linked towards extra planar type of stuff, which they are.
They are.
So they
are 100%. But that was my intent, was to always link them to Zarthel, which is our land of sleepless dreams. But it's just
doesn't quite add up anymore.
It doesn't really add up. I'd have to go through the Kalashtar lore again and really think over it again. But I don't know. I just genuinely don't know. Because my problem is when the two sides of the world meet, I know I'll get like, I'll have my gnomes, I'll have whatever. I'll have like a lot of your standard Dragonborn, you know, Orc, that sort of stuff. But it's like, the overall content will probably, like, we saw a list that was so long, it will not be nearly as long.
Yeah. Like, it was just a lot of work to try and make them all fit as well.
Exactly, because they're all from, like, you know, you've got Eberron's races, you've got Ravnica's races, you've got And like obviously there's lore in those settings to make them work, whereas we didn't have that. Like 100%, I was like trying to make it work versus like it just hand waving it away.
Yeah.
So to answer that, oh, you're making me yawn. I don't know how it's through a screen.
It's through a screen, but it still does it. Okay, no, that was a slightly off tangent. I was just kind of curious, linking into the whole Guild thing. 2 new races.
We're taking so long to get through this. I think we need to move on to the heart tree, maybe.
I wanted to ask you actually about Titans.
Do you want to do the Titan first, or do you want to do the heart tree first?
Okay. Well, do you have an idea for the heart tree?
I have ideas for both, and they're kind of similar, so I don't mind going whichever one we go to first.
Let's start with the heart tree.
So I imagine that what I love is kind of like we've got our universal constant in the heart tree, and I love the literal sense that it's literally in this area. It is the heart of the heart trees. This is where everything, like this magical anomaly, is what makes the heart tree work. I think all the roots of the heart tree are what is the core of Karsathor. It's like so. You know, it's too dangerous to actually go to Karsathor. It's the seam. It's where it all comes from. This is what allows it to work. This magical anomaly of utmost creation, because the world is a farce. It creates so much life. So that kind of like,
and it's chaotic in a sense as well. Like
it is. It's very, very chaotic. So I think just this like the chaotic expanse and growth of the heart tree, because it's one tree. I think literally the heart tree of Karsathor is the heart tree of the woad. It is like if you wanted to kill the woad at its root, the root is Karsathor. It is because the woad is a magical anomaly. It is the magical anomaly created by the magical anomaly, and that's how you have like random events, like random chaotic events, like of how the weave just randomly tears sometimes and stuff in like the world. Like it's Karsathor, like a flare of this gas giant is just like. You feel the ripples of what happens here throughout the realm.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. I like that. It's the heart of heart trees. Do you expect it to be on Karsathor itself or like on one of the
I think it is the core of the gas giant. I think it's the only physical thing in the core. It's like it's a mass of roots guarding the literal heart of the heart tree.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Raph. Really cool. It's the middle of this is just such a stretch, but Karsathor is a gas giant. The middle core of it is just roots surrounding the heart of the heart tree. The heart of the heart tree, though, is the divine observer. The core of Karsathor.
Ooh, I kind of like that. It's all interconnected.
It's all connected.
Just like the woad. Just like the heart tree. Okay. Do it, Des. Make it count.
Drone kick. I will in a second.
Oh, no, it was bad timing for the...
That's bad timing. We'll answer the question when Outbreak is over. We will answer. Oh, how are they? What was that? Tree. So yeah, it's literally because at the almost when I describe the start of the world, it's it is very much so a like there was two beings at the start, being of utmost drone kick. So you said my DM from a campaign I'm in, who's helped me a bit with ideas for it, was actually interested in the fact that I've made the lizard folk a desert dwelling raider species who have a burrow speed instead of a swim speed. Okay, why did you choose that approach though? What made you want to go with that? Because I know there's a lot of desert lizards, which I love as well. But what inspired you to go with that approach? Is there a specific lizard you wanted to base them on? But I was saying, Raph, it's the Divine Observer is like a being of utmost creation. The Void Dragon was a being of utmost destruction. So it makes sense that Karsathor is the chaotic entity of creation.
Okay.
Therefore, it is the literal force. It is the magical anomaly. Like, it's almost the planet, like the core. It's the divine observer. It's like, it's how it watches everything. Is the heart tree.
Yeah, I quite like the whole concept of Thor in terms of its depiction of chaos as being the chaos of creation. Like, its whole thing is the engine of creation of the universe.
Yeah.
I really like
not
that.
Not for good, not for bad, just for creation.
No. And very much the divine observer is like almost like the seed from which the heart tree bloomed from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I really like that. I really, really like that. I think that's a cool way of tying it together.
I like that as a way of tying it together, 100%. That's definitely the way I want to approach it. And then the knock-on of this is the Titans. I imagine that the original Titans are Titans of creation. Like, these are the first beings that were, like, they are made to protect the heart tree. Like,
okay.
So I think there's, like, let's maybe say 3.
I had an idea for one of the Titans. Which is basically, and this is slightly different to that. However, last week we discussed the plane of utmost order, and a being that essentially represents that and which enforces utmost order, essentially attempting to stop the chaos. It sees the absolute chaos and the antithesis to what they are, essentially defeating one of the Titans and almost binding their powers of creation to fuel the factories on principle itself. And like binding it, like binding the core of it, just shattering, not shatter, I don't say shattering because that's already trademarked in our world, but defeating the Titan and just binding it, taking it away, trying to constantly just like in a vain attempt to stop the pouring out of chaos from Thor.
Interesting.
But I quite like yours as well. Like, they are the guards. The ones in this planet are the guards of the Divine Observer.
So Titan, Edmund, so Titans. So fucking Titans. I swear to God.
So Titans.
We get distracted so much. How are you today? How's your week going? How have your weeks been? We haven't seen you in a minute. What is up with you? Did you have ideas for these protector Titans? Like, these ones are almost like because everything is like a being made of. Yeah. Titans are primordial energies. So, like.
But see, I imagine that these Titans that I imagined for this one here are probably the most incorporeal and primordial of all Titans. I imagine there's them being almost shifting forms of just half visible, translucent energy forms that almost travel along the waves of chaos and the storms themselves, just going very much with the flow around the planet, traveling with it and traveling with the energies of the planet, very much in like harmonious and sort of synchronization with the flows of creation and energy, just constantly traveling around it. But now they're never like trying to push back against it, very much just going around is what I imagined.
Okay. Edmund says, working full-time again since last week. Before I was working 2 or 3 days a week as my employer had complained that I should use up some of my paid leave days. How is work going? Is it very busy? How is it
yeah.
But I like that idea. Like, I like the part of Theo. It's like these are kind of like Jen would love this, but like literally just like these beings swimming through the gas giant, like large primordial fish.
Honestly, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. These large primordial, like half translucent fish type beings that just swim through the storms of chaos. Essentially, I think that's a cool way of putting it. And it's like they're not ones that actively involve themselves in creation or, doing anything. That is there to monitor and just exist off the energies. Like they're very primordial, once again, in that sense.
Let's catch up on chat. Not really a specific species of lizard, and I just like the idea of them as the desert raiders, living lives where they pillage and destroy, attacking travelers in the desert and such. Since they follow the fire god's destructive side, the burrow speed was an idea I had for them as a tactic they use for surprise attacks on people who travel across the desert. The kingdom of fire is a very survival of the fittest land. That sounds very interesting. That sounds very like
yeah, I like that.
A lot of conflict can be bred from that. And Edwin says, a lot of my work is outside and there's a lot of rain here this week. Oh, that I would not like to work outside in the rain. That would not be for me. I don't even know if I'd like to work outside full stop. Like, not for me.
Like, look, Des burns in.
I am too pale for that. I am too pale for that. I burn with these box lights on. It's burn factor 50 just to stream. The Frillizards instead of the Fremen from from Dune.
Oh, I like that.
Well, I love Dune as an inspiration. It's just been an inspiration for a lot of stuff. Like a lot of stuff. I haven't even finished reading Dune though. I do need to get on that.
Yeah. Come on. That's one thing that I've done that you haven't. Come on, Des.
True, but I've also read a lot of books that you haven't.
Yeah, I know. We have to sync up our hive mind.
We do. Because have you read Matt Covel's books?
No.
You should. They're fucking great. They're really good.
Okay.
Priest and Thief. The third one is not out yet.
Okay. I'll go give them a shot.
Definitely should.
Anyway, back to Titans. Did you have any other ideas for them in terms of what they look like, what they do?
Well, sorry, I'm yawning so much tonight. No, I don't really have much for them because I like the fact that they're literally like. We can kind of get into the Divine Observer a little bit on this because it's like it is the magical army. I like to think they're literally just these beings that are ready to protect. I think that's kind of one of these things. They're ever changing. Their form is never the same. Like they appear to fight creatures that look to destroy the core as the most optimal hunter for whatever is showing up to hunt it.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. I like that actually. Almost just like these sharks swimming in search of their prey. I really like that.
I like that. Just it's like since the Divine Observer knows all creations flow from the Divine Observer. It also knows the apex predator for everything. It's like there's always a bigger fish. That's like what can be. Like I like to imagine these titans could literally take the form of a century great worm, and it's like maybe that's why that great worm was destroyed because it flew too close to the core, and just these three titans came and was like, you're too close, boom.
Because I imagine that in terms of the Divine Observer, they're very much I'm trying to think of the right word to put here. Very much removed from any affairs going on. Just very much doesn't really focus on anything. It's just absorbed in just the process of creation.
Constant trance.
Yeah, trance. Just locked in that. They've transcended beyond the ability to just consider anything related to mortal thoughts. And but yeah, just catch up and chat.
Droid King says, my Fire Kingdom King will be the biggest mystery for my players because once the world itself is ready for gameplay. Why is that? Why will it be the biggest mystery? Edward
Why are they such a mystery?
I had built a campaign idea based on Dune that I never got to run. I replaced a Spacing Guild with a Mages Guild that needed Residuum, the replacement for Spice, to maintain their gate and teleportation network. That would work. Cool was that set in Exandria, or was that like... Because Residuum is an Exandrian thing. Like a wild mouse.
Yeah, and why did it never take off? Sounds like a good concept for a game to run.
It is. It's like a focal point. It's the MacGuffin. But yeah, I think that's the thing about the Divine Observers. Like they literally Residuum's a D&D 4, you think? I thought that was a original to Critical Role. I never played 4th edition. Did you know that, Ref?
No. Residuum. Huh.
That's a problem. We've had this conversation like Critical Role just makes everything a Critical Role thing. So you think about it, that's a Critical Role thing. It's like,
It is actually. I'm looking it up now.
Really?
Yeah, it is. See, then again, I genuinely don't really know much about the standard Forgotten Realms type of stuff. So,
yeah, neither of us do. We're both quite bad for that.
In 4E, you could disenchant magic items to get residual. I quite like that actually, disenchanting and like disenchanting to like raw form like that. That's kind of cool.
That actually does sound very.
I would like a system in 5e to be able to create and like enchant magic items. I think that'd be kind of quite fun. I'd like to get into that because like Artificer has the ability to create them, but it's very much like it's done. You have it. Whereas I'd like there to be like it would be cool to actually have an actual process in the game for enchanting, creating.
I feel like that's items. One thing 5e, and I would like to see done in D&D 1 a little bit better, is magic items as a whole. I think there have been a lot of cool magic items in 5th edition, but the process of getting magic items, or like guides for DMs on when and why to give out magic items, is very poor. And like,
yeah.
And Drone cares if they explore the Fire Kingdom history and rumors, they'll find a bunch of weird inconsistencies involving the royal family, like how despite that they being artists who want to in the Dragonborn capital, there's never been a royal portrait made of any of these 12 generations of the line, and weirdly no one in all those generations has once seen the queen. Only the king and prince of each generation appear, though the prince never leaves the palace. It's the same person, it's the god, I'm calling it. Locking in my answer.
That's quite an interesting mystery. I like it. Can you answer it for us? Unless you think one of your players is probably going to be watching. So I'll be quite interested. Like, is it the god? Because that's also what I'm leaning towards. But
it's the god. Calling it.
Well, Des is locked in. Let's see how this resolves.
Fishik says you have a good handle on magic items. I like to think I do, but my point is I don't think I did at the start, and I think there should be more resources for DMs to handle magic items, because you can very quickly unbalance your entire campaign by giving out magic items.
Yes.
And like players, like it is probably the least fun thing in the world to take magic items off your players.
All players like magic items. They like receiving them, they like using them, they like having them. That's just
like I spent so much time. I don't think even like the blink dagger that I gave Callus in there, I spent a long time thinking. I was like, this is a very strong item. Like this is...
I'm curious actually, Des, in terms of the blink dagger, who did you expect to take it?
I expected Zamani to take it and turn it into the bow for the active damage, because it would turn the assassinate feature up even more.
That's actually yeah, I can see that. It's I just nicked it.
Because think about it, as an assassin flying with a 60-foot blink,
and then
it's
very strong.
Absorbing it into the bow is like, it would have been like, I think the optimal move would have been to give it to Zamani. Like if we were talking like war gamey.
Yeah, I think the optimal would have been to do that. However, as a warlock and as a warlock without, Hexblade warlock, with not being impacted with the tome and using spells and stuff, it's very helpful as it gives me mobility without using spell slots, which I lack, and actually boosts Calacindia up quite dramatically.
True, but his AC is also getting ridiculous now. He's getting some strong features with his subclass.
He's getting strong. I wouldn't say it's ridiculous. It's just it's good.
It's like it's equivalent to like a Blade Singer, like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is busted AC.
Yeah. And I could stack. I could try and stack.
Our group isn't a very power gamey. Like I have had groups that, my god, I would have to design some combat shots for them, because like they would sit down and actively make characters together to try and have optimum combat. And I don't have that anymore, and I actually quite like that. I like having the more relaxed, like because I don't think D&D is either made for efficiency like that. It's like, because you can make combos that are just breaking to the game, and it's like you can kind of get into the territory that's like you either have to pump up your enemies' HP numbers a lot or use higher CR monsters, but the problem is the second the players are hit, then someone's getting downed. Because I say this with nothing but love, you are not paragamey. I watched you as a monk split off from the party as the village was being burnt down to try and tackle enemies by yourself. You were not paragamey. With nothing but love. But what the fuck were we talking about? That's the interesting thing.
I can't even remember at this stage. Because, you know what? I don't even remember. I
don't know.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I think it was relating to the Titans. Oh god.
It's probably. So, well, long story short, the king who appears to be an amethyst dragonborn is in fact an elder amethyst dragon who has been ruling the kingdom using his changing ability and an amulet to make a simulacrum out of obsidian shards and volcanic ash. And every generation he swaps between the identities of the king and prince, when the king's age would typically result in death. Then he plays it off as him as the prince taking his father's throne, as he's done this loop 12 times. Where do that's the first mention we've had of a gemstone dragon, though. Where does that come from? Where does that hail from in your setting? That sounds very interesting. Where do you fit in your gemstone dragons? But Raph, this is like we're pretty much like not done right now, but we're pretty much almost done all of our realms, all 9 realms. Can you imagine?
Yeah, we are essentially the only thing that, in terms of the cosmology, that we haven't really done is the void, and we can't really do the void because there's not really much there for us to talk about. It would just be a very rambly and tangent-filled stream, even more than this one here.
Even more. Well, the Karsa there was also like there's a little info, but like he has like a few like the Illithids and then the Divine Observer, but that's predominantly it for Karsa Thor. So yeah, it's definitely like, you know, where do you go from here? It's like
which is actually a topic that we both of us wanted to bring up is what would people like to see?
Yeah, next week we're going to be doing a world building, or depending on how we feel. I also don't fully hate taking it like a week off from world building just for the sake of like refresh and like spend a bit of time to think. But we'll see if we can get some good ideas. We'll decide Friday, of course. But what would we do next for world building? Because as fun it is to just show up here with no idea and meme throughout the 2 hours, that's not the goal. So, if you're listening right now and you're paying attention, doesn't cost you anything. Just type an aspect of our setting that you'd like to see fleshed out a little bit more in chat, and if we haven't done it, we'll add it to the queue of stuff that we want to do.
Like, and hey, like if you're world building your own setting, like if it's something that you're struggling with and you want to hear what we've done, then ask about that.
Yeah. Like we've got such things as like our gods. We could talk a long time about gods, or we could go the history of Durapadon. Any more demons? We could go further into demons. We definitely could go further into demons.
We could go further into Cirrus as well.
We could go a lot further into Cirrus. Or gothic stuff. You emo Shaz, I love you. But there's such an emo. But no, we could expand on demons. There's definitely like, because demons are infinite. We could definitely. We could do a stream. So Drone Kick says dragons themselves are very uncommon in my setting, as they really don't care much for the people of the world and are rather solitary. That there are only 5 gem dragons in the world, as they are an evolutionary mutation in the dragon species of my world. I see you like to do a lot of evolution. Cool. That's really cool. That's really cool.
I like implementing that in a fantasy setting. I think that's something which is overlooked often.
Yeah, especially when you have elves and you've passed generations and upon generations, and it's like nothing evolves ever. It's like, what? Why? Like you're telling me I still stub my toe?
on the topic of dragons, that is actually a big potential topic for us to discuss. Is the Dragon King?
That is probably the biggest power player over Indo Rapidan, and probably the best place to start Indo Rapidan if we were going to talk about the two halves of the world unified. Will be the Dragon King. There basically was the god of the dragons, two gods of dragons merged into one, and the history around that being and what came of it. There's a lot to be done in it. I think there's a lot of conversation that could come of that. It would definitely be more of a show and telly kind of feel to it, because we've got a lot of him done, but he will eventually play a part in Quenthos, so it might be good to catch people up on. We definitely think if you want that, you should talk to us in our Discord.
Yeah, have you talked about the deities of Quenthos? No, and that is very much a topic that we would like to talk about at some stage. It's a very big topic, and honestly, it'll be a multi-week project. But it could be good for the next big project.
We could break it down to major, minor, and major, minor, and saints.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I reckon that could happen.
Interesting.
But yeah, as Ed said, head over to our Discord if you have anything you want us to discuss. Put it there, and we'll consider it.
Yeah, we talk about it in general. Honestly, though, I feel like we've,
as Edwin said, sorry, just quickly, it'd be interesting to imagine how long-lived races like elves and dragons would look at these quick-spreading humans. Yeah, honestly, that is something that I have always loved, is the perspective of long-lived races on humans and shorter-lived ones. Which is actually something that, in terms of the main campaign, hasn't come up because no one's actually asked Callus India about his views on such things, but it'd be interesting if they did. I'll say that much. It'd be very interesting. But yeah, I quite like that.
Amulet's dragon, who acts as my world's Fire King, has been doing so to safeguard the Dragonborn race, as a promise to his only sworn brother, who was in fact a hero who fought the Necromancer long in the past. Although his sworn brother is long since passed, he upholds the promise to protect the Dragonborn people. That's really cool. That's really cool. I'd be very curious to see what would happen if someone killed that king, or a campaign to kill that king.
Yeah, or a campaign that just unmasks that king, and reveals this whole.
But I honestly, I'm thinking this is it. I think, like, as Carsathor as a whole, like, there's not too much going on it, but I think we've got a lot of good stuff. We talked a little about the history of the Great War. We'll have the 3 moons. One is an egg of some form, but again, that's just that. I think if we do a stream on the Divine Observer and the Void Dragon, that would be a really good one. Like, explaining, the start.
Yes, actually, you know what?
Because we've gone on a tangent many times about them both, but it's kind of like,
yes, yeah. And actually, I think that's a very good prelude to doing something on the Dragon King.
Yeah, because you can't talk about the Dragon King without the Void Dragon being mentioned first. And Fishing, thank you for gifting a sub to Drone Kick King. That's very, very gamer of you.
Thank you for doing that.
That's very cool. That's honestly, thank you. And Drone Kick King, if you want, you can reach out to me via the Discord. I am Des in that as well, and if you'd like, you can get access to our World Anvil with that subscription. And thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to Edwin as well. Very, very appreciative of that. That's a great way to go to support the channel. Edwin, the same is going out to you. If you want to reach out to me on our Discord, you can also get access to our World Anvil, where all these notes, I hope me or Raf, I have been bad at these past few weeks. I
have as well.
Look, we'll rock, paper, scissors to see who can. And thank you for gifting a sub to yourself. That is also very cool of you. Very cool. But yeah.
Thank you
for all the support. And Edwin said, imagine a good line dragon morphing into a Thanos type view, but these humans are spreading so fast that it'll only be bad for themselves in the long run, and they would run out of natural resources. I like that as a concept. I like that as a concept a lot. Thank you for the gift, and it's actually part of the idea that if my players investigate the rumors and historical inconsistencies that they will discover the king's true form. Though what they choose to do with that information is really up to them, and thanks for the gifted subs. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be a very interesting campaign, I think.
Yeah, you have, I believe, Fajik. I think you've mentioned it to me before. I think so. I believe you have. But I think that goes it for the streamer. Majority wise, I'm really happy. Like these 9 weeks, 11 weeks because of the few extra bits we've done, have been very fun. I've really, really enjoyed bringing back. I think you've shared the art of it. I'm not sure if you shared the lore for it. I'd have to scroll up and find. I can't. I am not completely all-knowing. It is the one lie I tell that I am.
Dez is not the Divine Observer.
I am the Divine Observer, but I never said the Divine Observer is all-knowing. All-seeing, but a head like it's Civ. But yeah, this is the end of the 9 weeks. This is pretty much it, Raph. Which is really, really cool. We've come a long way since rebooting the world building. I'm happy with this.
We've discovered Wilk.
I hate that. I hate it so much. But
we've got distracted along the way.
We've been distracted more than once. I'm gonna keep it a complete buck. We've probably spent a good half of this series, these past few weeks, being distracted. And honestly, that tracks for us. That really quite tracks.
However, this will not be the end of our Wednesday streams.
No. Exactly. This is where it all begins. But as I was saying, this is the end of today now. Although we will be continuing with these next ones. Hopefully we'll get an idea to us, and we will figure out where we want to go with it. Then quickly here, we'll get, before I do my last little bit where I talk about it, I will read Dronekick's message. My campaign world setting revolves around my players have to collect the 4 plot items, gems of elements, and use them to save the world from darkness that has begun to appear around the world. That's a very cool idea. Having multiple MacGuffins, that is like clear tier list of like trying to get through your campaign, which is very, very good. But this is the last little bit of the stream where I shamelessly shield for us, because we got to keep the lights on. We got to keep the lights on somehow.
Yep.
These box lights do not run themselves. That is electricity. I don't know how it works. I don't pretend to know how it works. But if you liked what you saw today, please consider following the channel. That is probably the best way to, just help us grow and, be here. We're here every Monday and Wednesday. Mondays at 12 p.m. GMT +1 and Wednesdays at 3 p.m. GMT +1 for the foreseeable future, hopefully. If you want to go above and beyond that, subscribing to the Twitch channel is a really great way, but probably the best way to support us is via our Patreon, where you can get some cool rewards too. On our Patreon, we have 3 tiers, $5, $10, and $15. For $5 a month, you can get access to our World Anvil and homebrew content that we make. We have released already one subclass, the College of the Brass Lungs, and expect to see a decent bit more homebrew content from us soon between subclasses and races. A lot of the realms we've gone over, we've gotten ideas throughout these streams for races and sub-races and such, and subclasses. So that will be available for everyone who's at the $5 tier and above. For $10 a month, you get access to our maps that I make every week for our game, and they get put up every week after the games, although some weeks I get a little bit worse and my week gets a little bit scheduled because I do shift work, so it's difficult to always be 100% consistent, but every week I do try and get something up on it. Or for $15 a month, if you really want to peek behind the screen and see individually how each session is run and what the knock-on consequences of what the players do on a Monday will have, there is a $15 a month tier. Alternatively, we have stuff down in our About section, the Throne section, which is if you want to gift stuff to the channel, there's community gifting. You don't have to gift the entire thing. If you just want to put a little bit towards a new microphone, a new camera, and that, you can do that. Or just stuff that'll help cover our Zoom costs and whatnot. Other than that, we got a cool few affiliates down there. Other than that, this has been the end of the cosmology of Quentos category. It's probably will get its own playlist on YouTube, but woo, let's go, go us.
Shout out to us.
This is so cool. Ooh. That's so cool. It feels so good to be done. It feels so good to be covered every planet one by one, because there's so much to talk about in Quentos. Thank you for everyone
has joined us on this journey.
And I'll read Edwin's comment. So, something to consider for a campaign world. Are subclasses just characters can choose, or are they a force in the world? So, are the monks subclasses specified in world monasteries? Are the different druid orders accurate players in the world? Can everybody learn fight or martial archetypes, or do you need to find specific teachers? That's definitely how it is in Quintus. Is like there is monasteries to represent each stuff. There is, specific. We even have a full like Google sheet, spreadsheet that says which classes are playable, but based on what's in the world, and which subclasses and stuff. But yeah, thank you so much. Hopefully you join our Discord. Hopefully you come hang out with us. We will be back on Monday. To see you again. Well, we will see y'all then. Bye. We're gonna raid out now. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for stopping by GM Workshop. Oh no, you came at the end. See you soon. See you next time. Bye. We're gone.